Down by the riverside.
Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield.
Down by the riverside.
Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
I ain't gonna study war no more.
Ain't gonna
Study war no more.
Ain't gonna
Study war no more.
I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace.
Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the
I'm
riverside.
gonna walk with the Prince of Peace.
Down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Ain't gonna
Study war no more.
Ain't gonna
Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Ain't gonna
Study war no more.
Ain't gonna
Study war no more. Aha! Hi, this is Rik Palieri, and welcome to another chapter in the Songwriter's Notebook. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. You know, a lot of times we have different musicians come on and sing songs, but today we have not only a musician and singer, but we also have an author. And now we've had many other authors come in, but this is the first time that we've had an author who actually sang a bit.
Singing a bit. Let's not go too far.
So, Leda Schubert, welcome.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Now, we're going to have a fun time today because Leda has written this book here, which is called How Pete Seeger Got America Singing. Listen.
Or the other way around.
Or listen, listen how Pete Seeger got America singing, right? And this is a beautiful new book. And Leda, you are from this area.
Yes, I live in Plainfield.
From Plainfield, and you've been in music for a long time.
A long time, since I was a little. I should be a lot better than I am by now.
We all should be a lot
Yes.
better.
We should practice more.
We all should practice more. But it's it's one of those things where your passion for music has kind of fueled into your writing. But when did you start writing?
I started writing, well, my first book, I think I was 5 or 6, and it was a thriller. It was a tragedy. I should have known then. And then I really kept writing my whole life, but I had to work and support myself, and it wasn't until I was past 50 that I sold my first book. Yeah. So.
And which number book is this one?
This is, I think, number 9, and number 10 is coming out next year, and then we'll see.
Now, when you were, when was the first time that you heard Pete Seeger?
I heard Pete, as far as I can determine, when I was about 3 or 4, and my parents, who were lefties, helped organize the first interracial nursery school in Southeast Washington, D.C. And everybody has told me and my friends that he came to a fundraiser. But there's nobody alive who can confirm it. So we say yes, he was at the nursery school. And then I got to see him. I was lucky. I got to see him many times throughout my childhood and teen years and into my 20s. And then whenever I could. Not often enough.
So, you started thinking about this book after Pete died?
Yes. I had friends who I knew were working on books about Pete, and I didn't think that I would. And then he died. And I don't know about your day that day, but when when the news came on the radio and I heard those first banjo notes, you know people are going to die, but you think, not Pete, not Pete. And I heard those banjo notes and I just started crying. And I cried all day. I cried all the next day. I decided to listen to his music all day, all the next day, all the next day. And I think that I learned that writing for me was a way that I could process my sense of loss and my deep emotion about who Pete was and what he did and all those things. So a book came out of it.
I'll tell you that day, when you speak of that day, is was a very difficult day. It started out like this banjo that I have here that I got from the Deering Company. They put this head on the banjo.
Pete's famous, well, Woody's first, but
they put it in upside down. It was upside down, and I had to change it. And I didn't really want to do it. I waited, and then I did a show, and somebody said, you know, Rick, that's all upside down. So I said, okay, I'm just going to have to take it apart, because you had to take the whole banjo.
Head, yeah.
So I took the whole banjo apart, put it on the right way, sat down on the couch. Immediately, right after that, I got a telephone call from Guy Davis.
Ah.
Guy Davis said, Rick, Pete's in the hospital. He's not going to make it through the night.
Oh my gosh.
And I sat there, and I sat there stunned. I was in the dark. You know, literally, I had the lights dimmed, and I sat there, and I just was thinking about, you know, the 40 years that I had spent, you know, with Pete. And then, you know, a guy called up, and he was in tears a few hours later, and he said he's gone. He's gone.
God, yeah.
And then the phone started ringing, and the phone, we have 3 phones in the house, and every phone was ringing simultaneously for 3 days.
Wow.
And they were calling, it was every kind of, you know, from the press to, they wanted to talk to somebody. A lot of them were just ordinary people.
Friends.
Yeah, who just wanted to hear
sympathy.
a voice.
Yeah.
Some of them, I didn't even know these people, but they wanted to hear from somebody who knew Pete. And I think for me, this is what I came aware of, is that Pete Seeger was one of those few people as a performer who not only had a fan base, but he touched you in a way that he made a place for you, made a place in your heart for himself. And he lived there with you.
Yes.
He lived with you, and whenever you went to a concert or you listened to his music, you're always thinking about him. And when Pete passed away, all of a sudden there was this hole left.
A hole in the universe.
And we needed a way to fill it.
Yeah.
And so that's why all people started coming together. There were kind of concerts for a whole year, because I think people needed to know that we were going to listen and sing.
Yeah.
And that you know, Pete left us the tools. And gave us a reason to continue. I don't think he ever thought, like, it was sort of when Leadbelly passed away or Woody Guthrie passed away. It was the same thing. Those people who we learned from those mentors, and now it's on our shoulders to do what we can do. So what you did was you were able to pick up that story of Pete and put it, not just, the interesting thing about this, you can hold this up over here, because I think that, you know, hopefully people can see it. It's a young children's book. Yes. For very young children.
Yeah, yeah.
And it introduces, I mean, everybody can enjoy it because of the beautiful illustrations. And the illustrations were done by who?
Raul Colon, who is a wonderful, wonderful illustrator. He's done many, many books. And I was very fortunate to be able to have
beautiful.
Him do this
I mean,
book.
when you open it, let's see if we can open it here and get an idea. You get an idea of, well, let's see, we'll put that over here like this. You could see how nice that illustration is. And these are the nice kind of short little tidbits of information about Pete. Why don't you read this first bit?
I'd be delighted. And I think I just wanted to add that, you know, you were talking about how do we honor him, and I think for me this is a way to carry it on, because there are young people who don't know who Pete was, and I thought, well, that's what I can do. So it starts out like this. Listen, there was nobody like Pete Seeger. Wherever he went, he got people singing. With his head thrown back and his Adam's apple bouncing, picking his long-neck banjo or strumming his 12-string guitar, Pete sang old songs with new words, and songs he made up. In front of crowds large and small, he'd raise his arm. Basses, here's your part. Tenors, sopranos, altos, here's yours. 4-part harmony would rise to the rafters and drift to the stars. Participation, that's what's going to save the human race.
And it goes through all facets of his life. If we just pick up another one here, you could see the people on the picket line over here. And what does it say?
It says, listen, Pete participated his whole life. He led marches to end wars. He stood on peace lines in cold and snow, heat and rain. And then the way the book designers worked is that the songs are in blue as if you could click on them. And if you don't know the words, you can, and learn the songs. Down by the riverside, where have all the flowers gone? And it goes on like that with a lot of his songs and a lot of ways for people to get singing. And when I sing it with kids or read the book with kids, I stop every once in a while and we sing a song. So
now, one of the songs that we had talked about, you know, the influence that Pete had really was multi-generational. So, you know, when he got blacklisted, by the House of Un-American Activities, Pete, instead of going into hiding, he went into all of the different camps.
Yes.
And he started singing with the kids.
Yes.
And he sang, you know, some of the old songs that we all know, like you were going to do this one that you like about, was that Skip to My Lou?
Oh yeah, Skip to My Lou.
And you were going to do that in D. So I'm just going to move my capo up like this. And I'm going to put the capo up here.
We're getting up there. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Skip to my Lou, my darling. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou. Skip to my Lou, my darling. I'll get another one prettier than you. I'll get another one prettier than you. I'll get another one prettier than you. Skip to my Lou, my darling. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou. Lou, Lou, skip to my Lou. Skip to my Lou, my darling.
So Pete was going around into the camps and singing these songs with the kids. And what surprised everyone, including Pete, was the fact that all these kids grew up and they all became his singing audience.
His singing army. You know, I like to think about this, that while he was sort of underground and he was singing in schools and camps and coffee houses and wherever he could get work to keep his family going, he was secretly raising a whole bunch of kids who would be ready to get out there and protest and sing and march behind him on all those picket lines. And I was one of those kids, and I was ready.
And you know, the thing is that people don't realize how difficult it was for Pete during that time. There were very few places that would hire him. Toshi, his wife, said that luckily he would be playing at the camps in the daytime, and there was this one hotel that wasn't afraid of the blacklist, and they would pay him an extra like $50 for him to sing at that hotel. And she said that's how we made, you know, just between the little camps and the little hotel.
Yeah.
And it was a long time before Pete would actually be able to break. It
was the early 60s. So he was really, he was blacklisted for what, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have a link to in the back of the book is, actually on the website, is his entire testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee, which I think is really relevant now. And I think people should read the whole thing if you can, because
because he took the First Amendment.
He took the First Amendment, not the Fifth, which most of his colleagues were doing. He stood up for the right of free speech, the right to assemble, the right to be with whomever he wanted to be with, and he was indicted for contempt of Congress.
Yeah, 10 counts.
10 counts.
Yeah, he was, luckily Toshi was, and we have to say this, folks.
Toshi.
If anyone out there knew Pete, you knew that Toshi was behind the scenes making everything work.
Absolutely.
And she did this effort. She put so much effort into it that she had to postpone her own career as a potter.
Yeah.
You know, and she was raising kids and she was building the log cabin and doing all these things. And
cooking, cleaning.
Trying to keep Pete being able to be Pete.
And he did call her the brains of the family.
Oh, and she was. She was.
I'm sorry I never got to, well, I didn't meet Pete either, except to say hello, but you got to know them.
You know, she was a wonderful woman, and Pete really cared about her so much. And
long marriage, almost 75 years.
And he, at the end of his end of her life, he was taking care of her as much as he could. It was hard. Tina was living at the house, but Pete was trying to do what he could to try to take care of Toshi, because she was getting very ill. And he was still okay. Sort of.
He was still chopping wood, pretty much.
He was still chopping wood. Well, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, we were talking about this idea of during that time, those difficult times that Pete and Woody, they would take an old Carter family song that's about this worried man blues.
Oh, I used to sing that song all the time when I was in a bad mood, even when I was a little kid. And then the other day I was singing it with some kids and I realized this is not a happy song. This is a song that is, well, we'll sing a verse or two.
We'll sing a verse or two. And the thing is, it's just as relevant today, folks, as it ever was. Because, you know, we're worried. We're living in worried times.
We sure are.
And that's why, you know, when Pete or Woody or Leadbelly, all these different people would sing songs, it wasn't because they wanted to sing a song. They were trying to teach us something.
Exactly.
Trying to get us through a difficult time. And this song, of course, the folk boom came along and they made it a kind of sugary sweet kind of song.
We don't listen to that version.
But this is the old way that they sang it. Leda?
It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Sing a verse, Rick.
I went down to the river and I laid down to sleep. I went down to the river and I laid down to sleep. I went down to the river and I laid down to sleep. When I woke up, there were shackles on my feet. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Sing another one.
99 links of chain around my neck. 99 links of chain around my neck. 99 links of chain around my neck, and on each link an initial of my name. It takes a worried man
to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Pete's favorite verse was, I looked down that track just as far as I could see. I looked down that track just as far as I could see. I looked down that track just as far as I could see. Little bitty hand was waving back at me. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long.
We need to work on our endings.
Oh yeah. Well, this is grassroots TV.
I know.
We're just having a good time.
We are.
It's a visit.
It's a visit.
It's a visit. It's a visit. And that's one of the fun things. Everybody who's come on the show, we're all part of the same family.
We are. We have this deep connection because that's who we are. Yes.
Now we were talking about. I'm going to play this big 12-string
Great.
guitar here, and we're talking a little bit about when Pete he formed a group that originally was called the No Name Quartet. And they were actually there during the Peekskill riots. They were sitting in the audience. They didn't play together. Paul Robeson was singing, and then they became the Weavers.
Yes.
And it was a big surprise that they ever became popular. Nobody, even them, they didn't expect it at all.
Right, and then they hit #1 on the jukebox, what's it called? The
Yeah,
Hit Parade.
The Hit Parade. And it was on the flip side, remember?
Yes,
it was
yes.
that was the thing. What's it called?
Saint It.
Yeah, it was on side 1, and the flip side was this song.
Irene, Goodnight.
And
what key are we doing this in?
we're in, let's see, C. Try it now.
Irene, goodnight. Irene, goodnight. Goodnight, Irene. Goodnight, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Last Saturday night I got married. Me and my wife settled down. Now me and my wife are parted. I'm gonna take a little trip downtown. Irene, goodnight. Irene, goodnight. Goodnight, Irene. Goodnight, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. I asked your mother for you. She told me you were too young. I wish to the Lord I'd never seen your face. My heart sorry ever was born.
Sing it now.
Irene, goodnight. Irene, goodnight. Goodnight, Irene. Goodnight, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. You gonna sing a verse?
Stop your rambling, stop your gambling, stop staying out late at night. Go home to your wife and family, stay there by the fireside bright. Irene, goodnight. Irene, goodnight. Goodnight, Irene. Goodnight, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. You know, I wanted to say one thing. I have never considered myself even close to being a singer. But if you're going to write a book about Pete, you can't get away with not singing. And so here in my declining years, I've decided, the heck with it, I'm going to sing. That's right.
And it's, you know, I feel that like everybody who's listening or watching should do the same thing.
That's right. I think that's really the message that Pete gave us from the beginning.
Yep.
About not worrying about how beautiful your voice is. I mean, what was it that they would call Woody Guthrie, like the a tire, the iron on a tire.
Oh, right.
Scratchy voice of Woody
Right.
Guthrie, and that was what Pete really wanted to have, that natural sound,
Yes.
not a trained sound.
But he was a great singer, as he was a fantastic instrumentalist.
Oh, yes.
Which people don't always
Yes.
pay enough attention to.
Definitely, all the cool things that he could play on so many instruments, like the steel drums.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
and
did-
the
you know-
Indian flute and
Oh,
Yeah.
when he got involved with the steel drums, nobody was really playing them. He was one of the people who helped kind of get people to look at playing the steel
I've
drums.
never heard him
and,
do that.
And taught, he was teaching people how to build them and how to tune them. And he got all of these bands in New York City to start playing them.
Really?
He was really into the steel drums for a while. Look at that. The time is flying, but we have enough time to talk a little
let's
bit
talk
more.
about the Clearwater.
Let's talk about the Clearwater, because you had asked a little bit about, how I met Pete, and it was through, going to, first of all, to seeing the concert when I was young, and then writing him a letter, and then he was urging me to get involved with the Clearwater, And I would go to these different, Clearwater things, and Pete would be there, but I was very shy.
Yeah.
And I
Not
really
anymore.
didn't really, know what to say. And, but my sister, Lisa, who was pretty young at that time, she was, probably about 9 years old or something. And she told me that, I said that Pete Seeger was playing in Central Park. With Arlo Guthrie, and she and my mother went to Central Park that day earlier, and they saw all the people setting up the blankets. And so my sister asked what was going on, and they said that Pete Seeger was playing with Arlo Guthrie. Now, because she thought that I was really close with Pete because of all the, the records and stuff. She slipped backstage and told the guard that I must be backstage with Pete, and so she got to meet with Pete and Toshi.
Wow.
And that's and
Fabulous.
then she put in a good word for me. And the next day he was playing at a Clearwater thing, and when I was with him, standing there playing with some young kids, he came by, took out his guitar, and he said, "I haven't seen you before. Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Rik Palieri." And he said, "Rick, I met your sisters yesterday. They told me you were a good banjo player. Let's go up on stage and play a couple songs."
Oh my gosh.
And that was the beginning of our friendship. But that Clearwater period, he wrote so many beautiful songs.
Yes, he did.
One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping on our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? Get the right key. And because I love you, let's try that again. I'm thinking in the 12-string.
Oh yeah.
One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping on our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. Some folks want to be like an ostrich, bury their heads in the ground. Some think that plastic dreams can unclench all those greedy hands. Well, folks, we're running out of time,
Oh
Leda.
dear. All right.
So people, you're just going to have to, find out on your website some more information about you, and we have that information right there. So you can go to Leda's website, and she'll be doing some talks around here in Vermont.
I will.
So you want to catch her while you can. Let's see if we can sing this a few more times.
You can.
One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping on our shores, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. Some folks want to be like an ostrich, bury their heads in the ground. Some think that plastic dreams can unclench all those greedy hands. Some want to take the easy way, poison bombs, they think we need them. Don't you know you can't kill all the unbelievers? There's no shortcut to freedom. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping on our shores, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. it's too soon to die. Go tell all the children. Go tell the mothers and fathers too. Now's our last chance to learn to share what's been given to me and you. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping on our shores, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more?
Beautiful.
I got confused. I was transposing with my
I
guitar there.
understand. That's just beautiful. That's a beautiful song.